Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Above the Ring. I'm your host, Sam the SLB. Alongside me today, as always, the man behind the Twitter, the other half of this operation. It is Scott. Wow. That's all I'm going to kick this off with. Wow.
Yeah.
We should make like Rampage and just get right to the point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Guys, if you haven't seen what happened on Friday night, you obviously do not pay attention to anything that goes on in the world. You live under a rock. There's a chance that you probably live in Afghanistan under whatever's going on over there. But I know, a little sensitive topic. I apologize for that. But guys, CM Punk is back in wrestling. He's back in pro wrestling. We want to talk about this. What I will say, I had my doubts up until that moment.
Yep.
But also, it was one of those, he's not going to show because he's a fucking troll. But at the same time, it's like Tony Khan hasn't dicked anybody around.
It's true. It's kind of amazing how when he says something ridiculous is going to happen, something ridiculous always happens. And it's funny. Like, I felt like this was the worst kept secret in professional wrestling, but I still doubted it because I've become so cynical with wrestling.
And I think that's off of Vince. That's off of Vince because everyone's like, he's such a troll.
Yeah, he really is sometimes. And it's funny. Like, everything pointed to it last night, on Friday. And I still was just like, I don't know, like, what's he gonna be? And then when Rampage started and like, oh, major announcement right off the rip, I was like, okay, this is actually really good. They're not gonna make you wait because if this was WWE, his ass would have walked out at like 10:55 p.m. and they would have gave him 5 minutes to talk. And
it would have been, I'm back.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Kind of like what he did when he was on Backstage all those years ago. It's just, I understand making people wait for for the big things. I get it. But with something like this, it just needed to happen. They needed to give him the time to talk, to get some of what he needed to get off his chest. And I know that we're going to go completely off script here, but the fact that he just came out and said that he wants to work with the young talent, he's not going anywhere, which immediately made my heart swell 3 sizes.
I'm going to be honest, like, that promo that he cut may be one of the most genuine promos I've ever heard.
Absolutely. Like, the man was in tears when he walked out and, he got on his knees like he always does. I think he was so emotional that he just completely forgot it's clobbering time. Like, he just got up and just started walking and then jumps in the crowd. And I'm just like, this man is having the time of his life. And it's just, yeah. I have a confession to make. And I'm pretty sure this is going to make some of our friends in our group chat very happy. I've been a WWE guy since, that'll put butts in the seats moment. Before that, I was a WCW guy. That needle's never moved. After Friday, that needle has begun to move.
There was, this is the way I worded it, and I will definitely want to talk about, when we get into Rampage, we will talk about more about the promo. There was something about this moment, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, AEW, they're not going to be around longer. They have their moments. They had the Sparkler match. They have these bad promos. Like any company does. People got to remember this. This happens. WWE still has them. Nobody bitches about, everyone bitches about Raw, but they're like, oh, WWE's not going to. It don't matter. What this solidified for me, and again, I stopped watching wrestling as CM Punk was coming in. So I didn't experience everything in his glory that people talk about and rave about in all these moments in the pipe bomb.
That hurts. That hurts my soul, Sam.
So with that being said, I felt like this was honestly AEW's moment of going, this was the last bolt, the last concrete slab. This felt like their foundation has now been completed. There was something about this that made them feel so legitimate like, and not to knock anybody else, Moxley, I will never forget when Moxley came out. I'll never forget when, all these other, Brody Lee came over, when, again,
Matt
I think
Hardy, another one.
Matt Hardy, Christian Cage, who again I wasn't even a fan of when that happened. When Paul White came over. Hell, we'll even go back pre to that. We'll talk about when Jericho, which let's be honest, Jericho was like the catalyst when Jericho wrestled Kenny Omega in Japan.
Yep.
There are moments where it's like, okay, this could be real, but this for me just said, hey, we're here, and we're gonna be here for a long time. Because I think, again, what Tony Khan did, and again, I've seen a lot of people in WWE fans who hate this and that and blah 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 blah. There were a lot of them last night. It's like, okay, you have my attention. I'm not going to watch the rest of the show, but you brought my favorite guy back.
Right. Yeah, and honestly, that might be the thing that kind of gets them. Now they're going to start paying attention to Dynamite, Rampage, because as Punk said, he's got time to talk and he's got a lot to get off his chest. So him also being on next week's Dynamite, that's going to immediately bump that. I would not be surprised because I know at the time of recording the ratings haven't come out yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if that first quarter hour was well over 1 million.
I cannot wait I want to see the ratings on that, because remember, we're watching TV on a Friday.
Right.
It's not even like, oh, cool, they're head to head. I go, the fact that this was, like you said, the worst kept secret in wrestling, and they fought tooth and nail. I don't say tooth and nail, but they just kind of like, nobody ever denied it. Not even Punk. Nobody ever said no. And the fact that Tony even made that comment that there's a new era of wrestling, all the stuff that happened to it, which was the stuff I'm like, if he pulls a Vince and somebody else comes out, that could hurt their reputation.
I really honestly thought that it would have been someone like MJF coming out in a hoodie and then just getting that nuclear heat. The other side of my brain was thinking another way to introduce someone would be wonderful for Bryan Danielson. Instant heel. Like the crowd, like Chicago would probably try to murder him. Maybe that wouldn't be the best thing because it is Chicago, but
Either way, what did we say last night? Either way, the city of Chicago loses.
Yeah.
It's like Philadelphia, if the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they were burning down the city. If the Eagles didn't win the Super Bowl, they were burning down the city. Same thing. But I want to talk more about that a little later. We got a little bit of news to discuss. Guys, if you haven't watched it already, obviously we're recording this before the pay-per-views. This drops after SummerSlam TakeOver. Actually, no, by this time, TakeOver. It doesn't really matter. Listen to our Go Home show. We had guests from Back to the Ring, Ship It Studios partners, Zach and the Riddler. It's a good episode. A lot of technical difficulties, but we won't get into that. Whew. But I want to get into some news, some interesting news. First and foremost, Ric Flair making major waves. So last time we recorded this, Triple Mania had not happened. Triple Mania did happen. Kenny Omega retained, which was a shock, and I guess that was a last-minute decision by AAA themselves.
Yeah.
I think they were ready to drop the belt, and AAA's like, no, we're keeping Kenny. Ric Flair came out with Andrade. Rightfully so, because that's his, father-in-law, son-in-law. But it was like, wow. And it was because Ric Flair just dropped a couple weeks ago. I know he has no non-complete clause, but he's an older man. You don't expect him to be going, in Mexico out of all places. Sure,
right, yeah.
Little fan event. At this point, I won't be surprised if he ends up in New Japan. All Japan. Doing what? Who fucking knows? But, Kenny retained. I actually found it. I found it online because for those of you who don't know, AAA, there was an issue. They've pulled everything from the States. They've pulled out of the States. There's a whole lawsuit going on. So I was able to find the pay-per-view on YouTube somewhere. If you guys find it, watch the match. The match was pretty good. It's cool. I didn't realize that AAA has a six-sided ring.
Oh, no way.
Or a six-sided octagon or whatnot. So I was like, oh, look, good old TNA looking here.
Right.
They've probably been doing it longer. I would not be surprised. Not familiar with what's going on down there. Lucha Bros, they retain the tag titles down there against Black Taurus and Brian Cage.
Ooh, Brian Cage was the mystery partner. Ooh.
Yep. Deonna Purrazzo was now the mega champion, or the women's champion, the Queen of Queens, and then Impact Knockouts champion.
She's turning into her own little belt collector.
There's a couple little things that happen, and there's a lot of talent I'm not familiar with, but I thought it was important because with the Ric Flair thing, it's been confirmed he's going to be at NWA 73.
That was some big news when they dropped that video a couple days ago. I mean, honestly, if you think NWA, other than Dusty, it's Ric Flair. So the fact that he's going to be there, that's a big deal.
This is the way I've always looked at it. I've always thought Georgia Championship Wrestling, Mid-South, or like Jim Crockett, Dusty, NWA, Flair.
Okay, all right.
That's the way I've looked at it. But no, it's, just this is important. This is like Hulk Hogan coming back to WWE, or
right.
We could go through comparisons all day, but this is exciting. We don't know how we're going to cover this yet, if we're going to cover this, because again, 2 weekends in a row would be a bitch. But we will be kind of like keeping our eye on 73 and Empower, which is next week. Oh my God, actually this weekend technically. Whew.
So much stuff going on, Sam.
We're not done yet, Scott. So New Japan Resurgence has come and gone as well. Some title changes, some really interesting things have happened here. Where is a couple of Juice Robinson defeated Hikuleo, Tomohiro Ishii defeated Moose, the Good Brothers defeated John Moxley and Yuji Nagata, Jay White defeated Dave Finlay, and Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Lance Archer, becoming the new U.S. title champion, which I believe has derailed a potential All Out match, what I'm reading. Hiroshi Tanahashi was supposed to wrestle John Moxley at All Out.
Ooh.
But he will be wrestling at Wrestle Grand Slam in the MetLife Dome over in Japan, like the day before. So that's dropped, but I am not going to be surprised if we see. I would feel horrible if they're going to keep this hanging. I think we're getting some New Japan guys soon. I mean, Delta variant aside, I think New Japan is going to get a little more involved. End of the Good Brothers match. Who came out? Gorillas of Destiny.
No.
Yeah, they came out and confronted the Good Brothers.
Ooh. So there's been some issues between them and at least with Carl too. Oh wow. That's
Did you not know that?
No, well,
kinda.
I've been seeing it on Twitter, and I'm just like, oh my God, that would be such a great dream match, and now it might actually be happening.
Yeah, and of course, I don't think Jay White is done either with anything that's going on over here.
No, I mean he's got Chris Bay now, part of the Bullet Club, so
I wonder if we're gonna see the Bullet Club expand like the NWO did back in the day.
Maybe.
Like
I think that would be really helpful. I think for Impact. It's just a shame that I can't watch it anymore because I'd love to.
Well, I got a Sling account you can borrow. Well, we won't get into the semantics of that. A lot going on. We're gonna kick off. We're gonna go right into Dynamite. First and foremost, kicked off with the Texas Tornado match. Sting and Darby Allin taking on 2.0. This is a match, I think on paper, I was like, okay, this will be cool. This will just be, it's just to showcase Sting. And don't get me wrong, Sting looked incredible. Again, we can talk about Goldberg looking old and whatnot. Part of the thing I think with older guys wrestling is how good do they wrestle.
Right.
Sting, a little more stiff, but he looked really good.
Yeah, he did. It was nice to see, and I love the fact that 2.0 has come in so strong. And I think I read somewhere, and I think you actually might have been the one to send it to me, that 2.0 has actually signed AEW contracts.
They have. And it's crazy, somebody like these guys who, and I liked them. I was like really waiting to see what was going to happen to them as they were coming up the ranks in NXT. I was like, okay, these guys have potential, but now they're coming swinging. And I thought this was going to be almost like a squash. This wasn't a. They put on. I see why they signed them.
Yeah, they're gonna be. They'll be AEW tag champions. I would say within the next year and a half.
They've been on every episode of Dynamite since they've shown up. They've been on both episodes of Rampage. This is like Wheeler Yuta. Like, I mean, he wasn't on this week, but I think he was over in Japan or in LA at least for Strong. But they are just like, this is untapped potential that is almost shameful.
It's good though, because they're infusing their shows with younger talent, getting the American crowd used to them, and then we'll find out what if they go over or not. But I like that. I do like that AEW has that good delicate mix. They have the established folks, like obviously like Sting, Hardy, Jericho, even Omega, Young Bucks. They're all established, but now they're bringing in all these young kids, and they're doing well. So it's not. It's good to see. It's not like the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, we'll even go to this next match. We had Sammy Guevara taking on Shawn Spears. Sammy proposing to his girlfriend early in the night, which is, great happy moment. And again, someone who again was accused of certain things when things happened last year. When he's completely switched everything up. The guy is top of his game. He's coming out to pops that are like they're big pops. They're not like, oh cool, Sammy's out. It's like when Adam Page comes out. It's like when Jurassic Express comes out. It's like when MJF comes out. Again,
yeah, he's definitely one of the biggest faces they have right now, and it's good. With everything like you said that had happened, yeah, he made a mistake. He paid for it dearly, and I feel like he's continuing to make up for it. I'm sure he will for the rest of his life, which is all fine. It's all gravy between the two, people that were involved, and they're all good. And now Sammy's really turned that corner. So I have no ill will towards the man. He's young, he's stupid, he made a mistake. We all did it. We all do it. We're human. It is what it is. So he's made up. I think he's making up for it. And, the crowd appreciates it for him.
Yeah, and this match was pretty good. There was so many near falls in this. Keep in mind, yeah, I know a lot of people are like, Shawn Spears should be a bigger star than he is. Blah 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 blah. You should be Shawn Spears, and I loved Ty Dillinger. Don't get me wrong, I loved Ty Dillinger, but the chairman Shawn Spears, winning isn't everything, and his performance was top tier. He's a great heel.
Absolutely.
Just everything. Those. So many near falls. This could have been a pay-per-view match.
Oh yeah, I'm honestly surprised that they didn't push this out until All Out.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a card happening. So this is something I missed. I know I had to walk away for a minute, but we had Dan Lambert return. With some talent from UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he called out Lance Archer. Lance Archer, I guess, came out, and then Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page attacked Lance.
Yep. It's a little weird. Like, I'm interested to see next week if they talk about why there's a connection between the Men of the Year and Lambert, because it didn't make any sense, honestly. So
potential cross promotion, maybe.
I would like to see Lance getting into the octagon. That'd be interesting.
But, I wouldn't. Not even that. What if you even had like Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky just show up at a UFC event?
Yeah,
being able to go, hey, these 2-star AEW stars on Dynamite Wednesday. Marketing. They do marketing here.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's part of it as well. But yeah, I don't know. That's one of those like, okay, you have my attention. I'm interested. Let's see what happens. Next week as we keep going on.
Yeah. So following that, we had a AEW tag team match. Young Bucks taking on Jurassic Express with the Young Bucks obviously retaining. Again, another great match. You know, Christian getting involved at one point when just the Elite is like flawless. They're just like they are so good. And I believe, and it's all convoluted right now, but like I believe Kenny Omega came out with a shirt that said Chick Magnet on it.
Yes, it was absolutely amazing. It was literally a picture of a chick. It was great. I loved it.
It's they troll so hard.
They really do.
And
they really do.
So again, with you know, we'll cover that in the CM Punk part, but no, this was a great match. Jurassic Express lost, but they did wrestle on Rampage. We will talk about that with the tournament because, you know, if anything like Scott likes more than his factions, it's his tournaments.
That's right.
You know, they're doing a tournament for the number one contendership to wrestle the Bucks at All Out, in I believe a steel cage.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's like some Scott D'Amore shit right there.
Love
my boy. Following that, big announcement. You know, we had Paul White come out, and QT came out to interrupt him, and I didn't think it'd be this soon. Now, I know some people complained about this promo. Maybe QT kind of sounded, you know, a little weak on this. I didn't think it was horrible. I thought Paul sounded strong.
Oh, yeah.
He sounded really strong. But we're getting the big guy in action at All Out. I was like, what?
Guarantee you this match is over in 30 seconds.
Hands down. Hands down. Unless, you know,
unless the rest of the factory. Yeah. If the factory gets involved.
Because I think Big Show, Paul White, Giant, whatever you want to call him, I think he would be a good talent. And not that, you know, not so much Dustin. You know, Dustin's a big guy too, but he's not like monster big. Paul White is still, I think, the largest wrestler in the industry, like in terms of height and build.
Yeah.
He would be a great trainer for like the big hosses.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, the big up and coming guys. He would be ideal. I mean, keep in mind, he debuted at like what, 20-something, 22 years old, and first match, boom, gets the title from Hogan.
Yep.
You know,
I remember watching that match.
I think he would be a big help there. And keep that in mind, guys. This isn't a knock on, you know, I'll get. It's nice to have the older guys in there, especially to help train these younger guys. Even if they get in the match a couple times. That's the one thing I think they've done well. Sting has been in a ring, 3 times, 4 times?
I think so, yeah.
Christian, not as, you know, a little more often, but Christian is like, he looks young.
Yeah, he still has plenty in the tank, so he's still going to keep going.
Kenny and Christian Cage is probably my top 10. I will say that right now for the year.
Yeah, that first episode of Rampage, yeah, that was a good match.
Incredible. But I'm looking forward to seeing Paul White take on QT. I don't care if it's a squad. I want to see what Paul White does. So following that, we had our girl Thunder Rosa coming out taking on Penelope Ford. God, I love how she. So glad. I love her gimmick, her style, her mic work, everything. Everything is incredible. Will she be the one to take away the belt from Britt? Who knows? I think Britt has claim for a bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She's so over. I don't see her dropping it anytime soon, but eventually that rivalry will reignite and we're going to get some high quality women's matches.
Yeah. So so this match, you know, Rosa obviously defeated Penelope. I thought this match was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
It was a good, it was good. Penelope Ford looked better than usual. Not that she, you know, she's like, can be a hit or miss, but I thought she looks really good in this match.
Yeah.
So following that, we had the fifth labor of Jericho.
You
know, Jericho taking on MJF. This was one of those things where I think this could have gone either way in our book. But the way it ended was not in my book.
I didn't expect Jericho to tap.
That's what I'm saying.
but I expected Jericho to lose. Like
Yeah.
I honestly expected MJF to win, and I know Jericho wasn't at Rampage because he needed to quote unquote collect his thoughts. But I have a feeling that on Dynamite he's going to come out, he's going to challenge MJF to one final match, and he's going to put his career on the line. That's just the feeling that I have in my gut, that it's going to be a career match. And I think if that happens, I think Jericho finally gets the win over MJF. It'll be the first time, because I think he's 0-3 against MJF.
0-3 against MJF, yeah.
Which is ridiculous, that the fact that he's versus anybody.
Yeah, and I think it gives MJF again. It aggravates you, but it aggravates you for the right reasons, because
Right.
And he made him tap. So not only did you give one of the most aggravating, annoying fucking heels in the company, if not the industry, another win, you gave him a win by submission. And the bragging rights he's going to have.
And submission over a wrestler who used to win all of his matches by submission. It's like tapping out John Cena. You don't ever really see it.
Yeah, this is insane. And this is what, somebody, one of my friends was like, I don't understand why they make him lose a tap and this and that. And I go, heel work.
It's storytelling. There's a method to the madness, at least, well, there's supposed to be. Sometimes there isn't, but 90% of the time I will say there's a method to the madness, why they do it the way they do.
When MJF becomes AEW champion someday,
oh my God,
you're going to look at heat that you haven't seen.
I'd say since Tommaso Ciampa, not as champion, but the height of his feud versus Johnny Gargano.
I was going to say JBL.
Ooh, that's another good one.
That's always like my because again, you got to remember when that was happening, I was a lot younger, and I hated. I mean, Eddie Guerrero was the biggest thing on the planet.
Oh yeah,
and he fucking defeated Eddie Guerrero for that title, and it was so many times he's this close to beating JBL, and then nope, and then he would just rag, and he was on top, and he was better, and you're a piece of garbage. And then he had those weird vignettes where he was kicking Mexicans back over the border, but
some of the funniest shit in the entire world. But nowadays, oh my God, they'd get ripped to shreds.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Max Caster. I guess he's
yeah, he's we don't know. From what, like, there's lots of different news going around with him. Like, some say he's been suspended for 2 months. Some say he's just off television. He has to take sensitivity training. He's removed all of the AEW and acclaimed wording from his social media accounts. He put up his acclaimed pants, his ring gear on sale. It's just like, I mean, I understand. I heard what he had said. Like, I actually watched the video before they ripped it down. And nowadays you can't talk about stuff that he talked about. If this was the Attitude Era, it would have been another day. But nowadays it's just, you can't talk about stuff like that, and just yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But with Jericho and MJF, I was hoping, you kind of wanted Jericho, but Jericho's older, and he's got to put over the younger guys, and MJF right now is the hottest heel he's the hottest heel. And especially, I think part of the reason is he's so young. The career he's going to have, he's going to be insane. Like,
I could never see him as a face either. That's the thing. Like, I think he's a heel for life.
Yeah.
I don't know how he doesn't know how to be a douchebag.
But it's funny because there's one video out there I found where he's getting interviewed, and he's a very, very nice, very he's like a little, he can be a little skittish, he's like a little kid, and I think maybe that's like almost like we're going to get philosophical here. Maybe that's a reflection on ourselves, where we kind of create 1977, 1978, Billy Joel's The Stranger.
Good song.
Wearing masks and being, having different, like, presentations of ourselves in front of people. Maybe, I mean, I do it sometimes. I act like a cocky prick.
But, we all have different personas.
But like, that's not me. That's just me being like, if I'm uncomfortable sometimes, I'm like, okay, I just got to like, this is going to be a good, just get on this box and just, stand there. And, when you feel fine, then you can get off the box. So he seems like, honestly, from what it sounds like, he seems like a really, really, nice guy, but he probably won't admit that. He'd probably call me a piece of shit for calling him a nice guy.
Well, of course. Yeah. I mean, he lives the gimmick. And
rightfully so.
Yeah. And I mean, he has to, because if he doesn't, his whole shtick just falls apart. So he has to be a dick. Like, I love the fact that whenever he's like around fans and the fans want his autograph or they want to, whatever, he will kind of like tease them and like kind of walk up to them and be like, fuck you, and walk off. And
yeah, that was like that infamous cameo video for like Happy Birthday.
Yes.
And so we heard you like Dragon Ball Z. Warlord, do we like Dragon Ball Z? No. Dragon Ball Z is for fucking nerds. Great. It's great. But we're going to hop over to Impact quickly. Impact was a pretty good episode. I know I'm going to go through this quickly. Moose and Ace Austin taking on Chris Sabin and Sami Callihan. This was a good match. Sabin and Callihan obviously getting the upper hand over Austin and Moose here. I feel like Sabin and Moose's feud has not ended yet. And I will say, I think Moose here is probably one of my favorite. He has one of my favorite entrances in Impact.
Yes.
I send you a snap every single time he comes in. I almost typed Moose on it, but I'm like, no. He don't need the word. He just knows.
I understand. And I appreciate it every single time.
Or like sometimes we'll text each other during like Impact and all like Moose. Man. So Christian came a little later. Shera and Matt Cardona took each other on, with Cardona beating Shera. Christian Cage came out, returned to the Impact Zone, had a long talk. He talked about retiring the TNA title, which is what he did.
Sad.
I do prefer that belt design.
I do too. I really wish they sold it, because I'd buy it. I really do. I really would.
But I don't think putting Impact on that same title would look the same. No.
I mean, their title that they currently have is fine. I wish there wasn't that red lettering. It's really off-putting, at least to me.
Looks fake. Looks like a toy. A little bit. It don't look.
I guess I'm just old school. Like the only title belt that I own is the
belt.
The big gold belt, the World Heavyweight Championship belt. To me, that's what prestige is. It's just
that the UK title, what AEW's done with their title.
Yes.
Hell, even the 10 pounds of gold. It's not really.
Yeah, that's a classic title belt. It's beautiful. But then you have like the stuff like the WWE Championship, what they turned it into, and the Universal title. It's the same damn title with a different color. It's so bland. But then you turn around, you look at, like you said, the United Kingdom Championship. That title is gorgeous.
And of course, I can always go back to the old IWGP title.
Yeah, not this new one. This new one's garbage.
Garbage. We won't talk about that. But you guys got to get what we're getting at here. But he retired it. Obviously, there was some altercation between him and Brian Myers. Following that, we had Melina in action taking on Brandy Lauren. I don't know if anyone follows her. She was actually in WWE for a bit. She got signed, and she was one of the people who was released recently. I believe is she in Ring of Honor currently? I am Brandy Lauren.
Because she was at Impact 4 years ago, because I saw her some of her posts, and she's like, it's been a long 4 years, so now she's back, and
yeah,
it's
good
to see.
She's young. She's only 24.
She's got a long time left in this business. If she has
a lot of talent. It was cool seeing her. That's one of those talent. You and I, we follow a bunch of random people, where it's like you and I are like, oh, you see, and then it's like everyone's like, who's that? Like,
I know.
You're such a
They will learn,
loser.
Sam. They will learn.
Do you even know what Pokemon are? Like, do you know all 900 Pokemon? Oh my god. Geez, get a life. But Melina defeated Lauren. Following that, we had a no disqualification match between Jake something and Caleb. Caleb with a K. With obviously something defeating Caleb. I do want to point out somewhere in the midst of all of this, Madison Rain's talk show came back.
Nice.
What the hell is it called?
Was it Queen's Court? No. That's
No.
something else.
Oh, Madison Rain's show came back, and her guest was Tina Dashwood of All About Me. So it was like they were like, she was hosting, but also at the same time Tennille's hosting, and on her talk show, she asks the guest questions, and on Tennille's talk show, the guest asks Tennille questions.
Her questions. Yeah.
So it's like
that's perfect. I love it.
Fascinating shit. Last but not least, a great Hoss match. Doc Gallows taking on Joe Doring.
Ooh.
Oh man, this was Doring got the upper hand and defeated Gallows, obviously. Great match. Like we talk about having all types of like good matches. These are the ones I think that you don't need them often, but it's good to have them.
Mm.
And I think this was one that, again, you get Paul White involved with somebody of his caliber, of his size. Or, I mean, I don't know, if a certain Braun Strowman came over to one of these shows. Could you, oh my God. So close to the edge, that one.
Right.
But we're going to quickly go through the emergency card because this has already happened. Matt Cardona defeated Rahit Raju. Decay defeated Falaba No Way, Savannah Evans, and Tasha Steelz in an 8-person tag match. Steve Macklin defeated Petey Williams. Madison Rain defeated Taylor Wilde, so she did wrestle. Ace Austin defeated Chris Sabin, Moose, and Sami Callihan to become the #1 contender for the World Championship. Josh Alexander defeated Jake Something for the X Division title. Matt, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Drama King Matt and Deanna Prazo defeated Trey Miguel and Melina. The Good Brothers retained against Rich Swann, Willie Mack, and Valentine Design. And Christian Cage defeated Brian Myers to retain the Impact title.
Nice.
We haven't watched it. It looks like seems like a handful of people watched it and they enjoyed it. This was actually pre-taped, my understanding, too. So.
Yeah, it's an Impact Plus show, so I'm not surprised that it's.
Always weird that they got to drop it on a weekend where, SummerSlam. I understand at one point where it was like, okay, kind of like when we went to Mania, you have everything going on, you have Supercard going on.
Yep.
But I think at this point with AEW, it's like, okay, guys, it doesn't need to be WrestleMania weekend or SummerSlam weekend or whatever weekend.
Right, yeah. And they drop it on like a 7 p.m. on a Friday. So it kind of went head to head with SmackDown and ended right before Rampage.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to hop right over quickly. Rampage. Decent show. We've already talked about the meat and potatoes here, but I want to definitely get into this conversation. CM Punk came out, and again, we had doubts up until that moment, but I'm like, there's no way Tony Khan is going to fool us. He's not going to be Vince. He's not going to troll us. Shane McMahon's not going to rock out. However, I still was not against that idea if Shane McMahon came out.
Oh, my God.
But I think one of the things I think that bothered me off the bat, this is a minor gripe, I think the audio wasn't loud enough.
For the song?
Yeah.
Yes. And honestly, I think that's because of the crowd. Because once it got closer to the stage, it got louder. But I think the crowd was just so hyped up, and rightfully so, that it just drowned out the music. Like, I heard that radio scratch in the beginning, and then all the wording was gone because everybody by then was just like losing their absolute mind.
Yeah, I was. Oh man, and like they built up the anticipation to this. It's like the song's playing. Okay, there's his logo. Okay, there's his name. Okay, but is it really?
Right.
And the moment he walked out, I think I said this to you prior. This night, this moment, this build up I don't think I've been this excited for since All In.
Yeah. It was, All In was special because it was just like, can these guys pull it off? Will we have potentially something down the road that can compete with the juggernaut that is WWE? And this night, like, it was weird. Like, I was talking to people on Twitter about it, and I had said, I'm excited, but I've tempered my expectations because I don't want to be disappointed if they pull a swerve and he doesn't show up. Because if he didn't show up on Friday, I would have been devastated, because Punk was easily in my top 3 when he was wrestling. And I loved everything about, because you never knew what he was going to say. He didn't go on script. He ad-libbed everything. He talked from the heart. And he still to this day has some of the best segments in all of professional wrestling. This one that he just added, absolutely, yeah. That it just he talks about, people that bought a ticket for stuff after the Rumble, after he was dumped out by Kane and then never showed up for the next show. Our esteemed colleague Riddler, I believe it was, he said he had tickets for that Cleveland show. Actually, no, maybe it was Zach. It was one of them. They had tickets for that Raw that he no-showed for. And it's just like, it ripped at his heart. And I completely understand that. It's just like, you're such a fan of someone, and then shit happens behind the scenes that we really don't know about until after the fact. And it's just like, I've waited for this. I've waited for this for 7+ years. And I felt like I was in, it brought me right back. And that's what I talked about. Like that needle never moved.
Mm-hmm.
It moved. Like, yeah.
We are, like I said, I didn't watch him when he was like at his hype. Same thing when Brian. I didn't get to watch, but I've seen enough. And actually, I was there when Brian returned, as the GM of SmackDown. I was there when he made those first hits, or I was in the Boston Garden Clash of Champions. I know if he shoved, he got physical altercation. The only thing that was louder that night was a touchdown that was overturned during the playoffs between New England and the Steelers. And that was before the pay-per-view started. I'll never forget that. But, I had chills. I was, again, knowing him and knowing the impact he's had. And he started talking. And I've said, the best promos come from the heart.
Yep.
And people know how to talk. There was not a thing that came out of his mouth that was like, yeah, you're totally just saying this to say it.
Right.
You are looking at somebody who is a wrestler. He is a fan. And who, when he said he's back and this isn't a short-term gig, I'm convinced, as long as AEW is a company and they don't get too corporate with him, I mean, I think he'll play ball, because they're not going to pull, some other shit. But
right.
I can see him being with this company in the long term, and maybe not even wrestling, at some point being a commentator, maybe being, talent relations, maybe being a trainer. He seems like that piece to make it go, it's here. I feel at home. Let's make this special. Let's prove the Bucks. And Kenny said before AEW started, their motto was change the world. This is what this promo did. This is what and again, we're not even done.
Nope.
So obviously we all know, and this is what I really like about AEW. I will go back to Adam Cole. I remember when Adam Cole got signed, they dropped the news. Oh, Adam Cole got signed with WWE. It's like, awesome, but also, why did you fucking just save it? Just save it. CM Punk. Everyone knew, but also it was like, specifically him. It was one of those where you wanted to believe it, but you're also like, we've heard this before.
Yep.
Daniel Bryan at this point is like unofficially official.
Right.
when he debuts, New York we're looking at, and I think Ruby Soho too.
That makes me very happy that she's signing with, hopefully with AEW. She's another one of those people that I've seen some of her indie work before she came over to NXT, and then before the main roster. And I feel like, again, another classic case of WWE dropping the ball on someone that has a phenomenal amount of talent. I don't know if they just don't understand her, which clearly they didn't. But I thought the Riot Squad could have done so much more. It's just, I can't wait to see what she does next. She also had her own little vignette. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. It's called The Runaway. Short and sweet. It's just that how she missed the train. But it's intriguing. So I'm excited. Seeing her back in a ring will be a marvelous thing to see.
It will be. And also, I think we saw rumors that off of the news that CM Punk and Bryan Danielson are joining AEW, that there's a third major announcement, big one. Whether it's, Braun Strowman was trolling, whether it be Bray Wyatt,
who now goes by Wyndham on Twitter,
or could be Adam Cole. And this is the other thing. I think people get concerned because they keep signing. My buddy Rob was saying, they keep signing. They have a big roster, and that. I go, the thing is, it's not like WWE where it's like you are a WWE contracted wrestler. You can only wrestle with us, and if you get no TV time, SOL. People got to remember, they're signed with AEW, but they can go anywhere.
Yep.
As long as they're there for Wednesday or Friday, or if they're not booked, then they can go wrestle elsewhere. It's not gonna hurt. And with the Forbidden Door, guess what? The NWA could use talent. Impact could use some talent. Japan's open. AAA's open. How much longer until the Forbidden Door opens up with Ring of Honor?
I mean, they've even talked about it. Didn't they tweet out something talking about if, the Forbidden Door was open, who would you want to see over here? So I'm pretty sure Ring of Honor at some point is going to have something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just like Jay Lethal showing up on Rampage or on Dynamite. Stuff like that. Like John Grisham. That man can turn people into pretzels. Like
the Horror King, Matt Taven, or they have so much talent. EC3
even Mike Kanellis.
Mike Kanellis. Oh my! Just
imagine the promo that Mike Kanellis would drop if he showed up on like Rampage or Dynamite or even Impact. Just the promos that he could just drop on how much he hates WWE, because he's definitely vocal about it on Twitter.
Yeah, this is, and that's another thing I got to give Punk. He definitely had his gripes, but he was smart enough. And people are like, they can't let people just go in there and shit talk. I go, some people have gripes, and they would prefer to do it and I thought Punk's might be the most professional way he did it. Yeah. Where he goes, on this date, I left professional wrestling.
God, that just ripped at my heart when he said that too. Christ. The day he left Ring of Honor, and then he talks about, August 20th, 2021, I'm back. And I'm just like, I had chills for the first 25 minutes of that of Rampage. It would not stop. And you talking about it now, I've had chills for the last like 10 minutes. It's just,
we could talk about this all day.
I know.
I am.
We didn't even talk about the matches yet on Rampage. Because who I honestly could pay attention after that, but hey, they still snuck in 3 matches.
So this is what I will say. So that was like a 20-minute, and I think it was smart because they want to give him as much time as he could. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, hey, he's coming out. We told him he has to talk, and he has this much time to talk, but we're gonna get you guys in there. So I'm gonna jump quickly. And in time, I think, because a lot of people are arguing, the rest of the episode was weak. You can't say that. Okay, so also yesterday, one of my favorite bands dropped their 10th album. This band Between the Bear and Me, Colors 2. Their first album, Colors, came out in 2007. I missed them on that tour because that was when I had my hand injury. The album so Colors was the album that really took progressive metal and made it popular again. Progressive music. Up until that point, if you like stuff like Jethro Tull or Pink Floyd or stuff that was very long, you were a psychopath. But Colors made it acceptable and people loved it. And then they put out their follow-up, The Great Misdirect, which I just saw them on tour playing. There's a point to this. That album got so much shit because it was like, well, it's not Colors. Well, it's not Colors. It's not Colors. Not Colors. 10 years later, and I've been listening to it again, and I was talking to my buddy Ken. I'm like, Ken, this album got so much heat when it shouldn't have. This album is incredible. It was compared too much to another, their one of their masterpieces, which is why I think it fell short. It wasn't because it was a weak album. It's because it followed, And so some of these other first and foremost, we kicked off with a banger, Private Party taking on Jurassic Express.
True.
And I believe, quote me if I'm wrong, I think Jurassic Express did win.
Correct.
Moving on to the finals, they will be wrestling next Friday. They will be taking on the Varsity Blondes or Lucha Bros.
Yes.
Which I will have a prediction. Right? I think whoever, how do I word this, Scott? I want to say whoever, it's going to be Lucha Bros and Jurassic Express.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
And I almost want to say either team wins, they are winning at All Out. But I could see Jurassic Express losing again.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve the titles, but I can see them losing again. If it's the Lucha Brothers, I think the Lucha Brothers, after this long feud that is going on forever, they're finally going to get their titles.
The only wrinkle, I think, in that argument that you just made is Andrade. Andrade could cost them the titles.
No, absolutely. He could, but I don't know. I feel like they could.
Or if we want to dive into that a little bit more, Andrade could come out and distract Pac, which would then distract the Lucha Brothers and make them lose. So Pac would technically cost them the titles, which would then strengthen Andrade to have them come over to him. And then after that, I think then they win the titles. That's just from a heel standpoint. I think that's maybe how they would go.
Yeah, because I feel like I don't see the Bucks having the belts after Full Gear.
No, they don't need it anymore. No, honestly, they don't need them now either. But they're being heels because that's how they are.
Yeah. So following that, we had Jade Cargill taking on Kiera Hogan. I was surprised they decided to. This one kind of confused me a little bit, but also I guess it makes sense in the terms of when you're coming from one promotion to another. Because Kiera Hogan got dragged off by Su Yung and Kimberly in the last episode of Impact. They just showed a little bit of her hair that they were holding. It's like, we've made the first sacrifice. And now she's over here and she's 0-2 after being a knockouts champion. No, a tag knockouts champion. So
got to pay your dues in the new company.
Yeah. But
I think Kiera will definitely be a player. Give her some time, 6 months. Let her grind through the stuff on Dark and Elevation, and then start putting on Dynamite and Rampage. She'll definitely get up. She'll climb that ladder real quick. That's a big pickup. I don't know if they've actually signed her, but it's a big pickup either way.
I think Kiera Hogan is signed. Let me double check right here. AEW. Because she has left. She did leave.
Yeah, she's officially done with Impact. Yeah.
Well, even it's weird because I'm on the wiki and she's not even mentioned in AEW. That's weird.
Yeah, so she's probably just kind of floating at this point, but I think it would be foolish for them not to sign her, at least short term for now.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. She was talented. She's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Jade Cargill is, she continues to make her way up. Her and the Mark Sterling, conversation that we had, those promos, especially where they finish each other's sentences, where Mark Sterling's like, "She is that," and he like immediately like, "Bitch." I'm like,
yep.
Oh, so smooth. Again, this was a squash match. They're making Jade look big, strong.
11-0. 11-0. It's pretty good.
Curious to see. I know a lot of people weren't fond of this, but I like building her up to be a bad bitch. Being this muscle. Not everything. You need somebody who's also not Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose is good, but you need more than one monster in a company.
Absolutely. I feel like with Jade, she's not going to challenge Britt, but she'll challenge whoever beats Britt, which I think should be perfect for her to take Thunder Rosa on. I think they could have a great program together.
I like that. Who knows? Long-term booking. Long-term booking. So following that, our main event was Jon Moxley taking on Daniel Garcia. This was wow. This was like they started walking out less than 10 minutes and the show left.
Yep.
And I thought it was gonna be a squash and somebody was gonna come out. I was convinced that we were gonna get another surprise, but we didn't. This was, again, it wasn't bad. Maybe down the road we'll go back and watch it and it was good. But Daniel Garcia, he's decent in the ring. He's, definitely getting there. The selling point is just having 2.0 out there. Like, there's just something about them being out there that just feels it's awesome. Moxley made him, I believe, tap.
Yes. Yep, to the bulldog choke, I believe.
Yeah, and then, obviously they came in, they attacked, Eddie Kingston and Moxley, and then Sting and Darby Allin came out.
Nice little feel-good moment to end the show. But at that point, like, I honestly expected, if he was younger, I would have expected Punk to come out and confront Darby, maybe even attack him.
Yeah, that moment there, where he's like, "In you, Darby Allin," and I didn't realize it at first until they shot back. So obviously you just see CM Punk in rafters, and I'm like, "Oh, he's looking up at Darby," and then they do the close up of Darby, and I'm like, there he is up in the rafters. And then they shot back to Punk, and I realized Punk looking this way. Darby's not here.
Yeah.
Darby's here.
Yeah.
So that angle where he's like looking like, I'm like, that is so cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
That was a shot for the ages.
Yeah, it was good.
I can't wait. When Tony Khan said there is a new era of wrestling, he was not wrong. I really feel like we rung something special in.
It's only the beginning too. Like, honestly, if they're able to get Danielson to show up, if they're able to steal Cole away from WWE, it's like chills once again, because Adam Cole said it himself. He is a once in a lifetime talent. And I fully agree with that statement.
Yeah, yes.
The man can do no wrong in wrestling, honestly. And if you set him free and he's able to go to AEW, obviously to be with his, to be with Britt and to reunite with the Elite, it's I don't want to say game over because it's clearly not, but they're getting that much closer. And I'm really starting to get those 90s vibes again.
No, this is feeling strong. I'm super excited. We're not done. It's just
getting started.
It's funny. And we're obviously getting towards the end of the show, but what I want to do, I do want to mention, I was talking to my brother and I started explaining some things that have been going on and what's been happening. And he's just like, wait, can you repeat that? What's going on? because he started watching AEW. We all watched wrestling growing up, and then we stopped, and AEW started, and he and I, we were, he would be the one that follow more. It's weird. I got connections with all my brothers in different ways, but wrestling was kind of getting that one. And then he dipped off. Obviously, he's married, has kids, and whatnot. But when I started explaining him everything between Jay White and Impact and New Japan and Daniel Bryan coming over and this and that, I started telling him, oh yeah, Paul White is right. Paul White's gonna wrestle like All Out. He goes, cool. I'm like, you're looking at me like, it sounds familiar. Oh, Big Show. And he's like, wait, when what? I go, yeah, him and Mark Henry are signed. And he's like, wait, Mark Henry's over? What's going on? He's like, and I'm like, there is a level of excitement that is unfathomed right now.
Yeah.
That I only get when I watch the Monday Night War stuff. Not that it's even a war at this point, but it's a as I like to say, nature is healing itself.
Yes.
I told him, and we've said this for a long time, Scott. This is like the territories coming back, but with companies instead of territories.
Yep.
Yeah. So, guys, CM Punk is back. He's gonna be a Dynamite. So Wednesday night, we're tuning in. You better tune in. The best in the world. It's clobbering time. If you guys don't already do so, please make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Above the Ring. We're above the ring now. Ship It Studios. We can find us on all streaming platforms, especially now Captivate. I want to point that one out because we're dropping stuff on Captivate. We will still be on everything else. Our logo has changed. It's going to be a dark photo with a ring that says Above the Ring on it. So keep an eye out. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell people, leave a review, tell people why Above the Ring, Ship It Studios at the podcast network of your choosing, and why they should listen to us as well. You know who's also not going anywhere? Oh, yeah, Scott and I. The best in the world in podcasting, wrestling podcasting. Thank you for listening. And as always, do not forget to join the Bedlam as well as Ship It.